wants to ask a question, we would request you to kindly use the written chat feature of the WebEx platform. Today, it is truly an honor to welcome Mr. Rajkumar Srivastava, Ambassador of India to the Republic of Croatia, and Excellency Lovicic, Ambassador of Croatia to India. We are delighted to witness good participation from our Indian and Croatian industry here. I welcome you all towards an insightful and fruitful discussion at this virtual platform. To begin our session today, I would request Mr. Manish Singhal, Deputy Secretary General, FICCI, to share his introductory remarks for today's interaction. Mr. Singhal has been with FICCI since 2012. He oversees the global outreach of FICCI. Prior to FICCI, he has spent over 22 years with some of the best-in-class Indian transnational companies. Please welcome Mr. Singhal for the introductory remarks.
Thank you, Srivastava. Thanks a lot. Good afternoon, and I think good afternoon is for all of us now. Good afternoon, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone from Croatia and from India. Ambassador Raj Srivastava, our ambassador to Croatia, His Excellency Petar Lovicic, Ambassador of Croatia to India, Mr. Dreslov Sklejo, Minister Plenipotentiary, Embassy of Croatia to India, Mr. Mr. Evisha Zicic, President, Indian Croatian Chamber of Commerce, and Ms. Obdrovic, Director, International Affairs, Croatian Chamber of Economy. Friends from the industry and from the media, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of FICCI, the Federation of Indian Chambers of Commerce and Industry, it's always a privilege for me to welcome His Excellencies, both from India and Croatia, who are actually representing our countries very proactively in both parts of the world. The meeting today, of course, has purely a business agenda, though, of course, we are also on the verge of celebrating 3 decades of our diplomatic relationships next year. So it of course sets the tone for doing much more in the coming year and make the celebration even greater. Our endeavor always has been in India not to probably overlook or ignore the potential which Indian companies have in terms of doing business with even smaller countries around the world. Hence, Croatia itself offers a lot of opportunities, not only to Indian business, but probably we will hear today as to how Croatian business can also benefit from a large market like India. And probably they should not get overawed or cowed down by the largeness of our country, because and they should look at it as a big opportunity for whatever specialized technologies and skills which Croatia has to offer. India is a market where all these specialized technologies can actually be scaled up and probably supplied not only to the Indian market, but even to third country markets from here. In this direction, big Government of India programs like Digital India, Startup India, Make in India, all these have huge potential for both countries to collaborate on. And this I'm saying because we are aware that Croatian companies have cutting edge technologies, which probably are not also that well known in India, but have a huge potential for scaling up with manufacturing and investments out of India. The level of trade we all know is over $200 million, but I think investment, which is right now not worth talking about, is somewhere we can look at in both the countries. That itself will enhance the trade also. Other than cutting edge technologies, science and innovation, probably some other areas we could look at is agriculture, food processing, and of course, under the current scenario, we can't overlook the need for cooperation in the care of in the area of healthcare. In all these areas, I think one large segment of our businesses especially in India, are the SMEs. And these SMEs are the ones which can really contribute to growth of not only business, but also the growth of partnerships and collaborations between our countries. India has a very large SME sector. We have almost 60 million SMEs. Now, those 60 million SMEs, at least millions, would have potential to absorb high technology products and collaborations from overseas and scale them up in India. And of course, they will scale them up in a very competitive way. So that's one area we hope to listen more on as we progress today in the seminar. Of course, we all are aware that big companies like Infosys, Orient Green Power, they've already looked at Croatia for partnerships, and these are partnerships into IT, cyber infrastructure, research, development, and of course, green energy. So I think these are some very good examples and stories which we should take forward and develop the business more. Whatever I know of Croatia, I think one other area we should look at is tourism for promotion. Indian tourists are now much more adventurous. Of course, I'm wanting to forget the last 1 year and maybe the next 6 months to a year also. But then post that, there is a huge attraction possible for Indian tourists into a beautiful country like Croatia. So maybe that's one area Croatia should look at promoting in India, and probably promoting it through Indian films and all is the best way to go about that. Uh, I won't have really the competence to make any more suggestions, as we have some very eminent people going to speak. So I will leave it to them. And once again, welcome all of you who've attended this seminar today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for setting the tone of this significant discussion. Now I request Mrs. Ines Obradovic, Director of International Affairs Sector, Croatian Chamber of Commerce, our treasured partner in Croatia. She began her professional career in the Croatian Chamber of Economy. Her area of specializations are internationalization, international cooperation, investment, and EU funds. Please welcome Mr. Obradovic.
Thank you very much. Yes, it's difficult to pronounce. Thank you, thank you. So, Your Excellencies, Mr. Srivastava and Mr. Ljubicic, dear Mr. Žigic, dear Mr. Singhal, our dear colleagues from the Federation of Indian Chambers, dear entrepreneurs, I'm very glad to have the opportunity to greet you all today on behalf of the Croatian Chamber of Economy at this virtual business forum that we organized together with our dear friends from FICI, Embassy of India in Croatia, and the Indian Croatian Business Council. The global COVID-19 pandemic that started in early 2020 changed the way in which business is done. We can all see that because everything moved online, and virtual events like today's forum are our new normal. I'm glad to see many Croatian Indian companies join this event. Today, representatives of Chambers of India and Croatia will present to you information about Indian and Croatian markets, about our mutual trade, support projects, tools for export, and possibilities for cooperation. India is amongst the world's fastest growing large economies, and it is an important trade and investment partner for the EU. In terms of total trade of goods, EU is India's second largest export destination. According to the last available data, a little over 11% of total Indian trade was with EU, and however, EU's trade to India accounts to only 1.9% of total EU trade in goods. So it is well behind the United States, China, and the UK. If we look at the Croatia's trade numbers, there is also a lot of room for improvement. Croatia's exports to India are significantly lower than our imports from India, almost 3 times less in 2019 and over 6 times less in 2020. There is certainly room for improvement, and we shouldn't look at the past. We must focus on new India and new emerging opportunities. Therefore, we are glad that we organized today's event with our Indian partners so that companies could learn about respective markets and business opportunities and connect with each other. On a more positive note, when it comes to services, according to EU data, the numbers are showing an upward trend. Trading services between the EU and India increased rapidly over the last few years. Some of Croatia's leading companies already recognize the potential and found their niche in the Indian market. For example, Croatia's leading IT company, Infosys. Indian companies have also recognized Croatia as good investment destination and invested and opened their offices here in Croatia. Once again, I would like to thank our partners for their help in organizing this event, and I wish all the participants much success in their future business dealings with India. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am, for your inspiring words. We now welcome Mr. Ivica Jigic, President of Indian Croatian Business Council. Apart from being the President of Indian Croatian Business Council, he is the Head of Department of Corporate Communication in HEP, the Croatian Power Utility Company, engaged in electricity production, transmission, and distribution, as well as heat supply and gas distribution. He earlier worked in Croatia's largest insurance company and the Croatian Chamber of Economy. I request Mr. Zigic to share his remarks. Mr. Jigic, you have to unmute yourself.
I already unmuted, but something happened. Sorry, everybody. So good afternoon to everybody, and thank you, Madam Chakraborty, and thank you for pronouncing my name well, because it's not easy for people in India to pronounce Croatian names perfectly, and vice versa. That is one of the things about which I would like to say a few words. That are the differences and obstacles in understanding of two markets. I will not say two nations, because as the nations we understand each other very well, thanks to our diplomacy and thanks to Indian diplomacy in Croatia. But first of all, let me say my regards and say hello to all the participants, and special thanks to His Excellency Ambassador Srivastava, Ambassador Ljubicic, Mr. Singhal, and Madam Obradovic, and all the participants and organizers. So thank you very much for the opportunity to say a few words about our non-government organization. Croatian Indian Business Council, briefly, is an organization with a role to promote economic, industrial, commercial, science, and other cooperation between our two countries. Presently, we have more than 60 members. Most of our members are already cooperating in India or having an aspiration to cooperate with India. Between our members, I can say that we have a few companies which are very well known. Some companies are already mentioned in the expose of Madam Obradovic, like, for example, Infosys, Infobip. There is also Institute Ruđer Bošković, which cooperates in the knowledge exchange with Indian companies and also with Indian institutes, Badel, Belupo, Lookups, etc., etc. And despite the fact that we will have opportunity to hear from His Excellency Rajkumar Srivastava and also from Croatian Ambassador Mr. Ljubicic few words about diplomacy. I would like to say, and I would like in the beginning to address to all the participants that we would like to say that all of us here are for you, for the companies on both sides who have a decision or aspiration to start a cooperation and start to explore both of economies. On one side, we have India, which is fastest growing post-COVID economy in the world, or let's say COVID economy, because I mean, all around the world, we are facing the third wave, and we have to know how to cope with that. But I can assure you that Indian companies are doing very well, and Indian economy is coping very well with the COVID. I'm witnessing that because I have visited India before 2 months, even less than 2 months. And I have seen tremendous aspiration of Indian businesses, whether they are big or small, to cope with COVID, to use the platforms not only for the webinars and seminars, etc., but to really establish the business connections. Also, a lot of companies are open. Places are open. It is easy to get the Indian business visa. So this is invitation for Croatian companies to explore India. Why to explore India? I will leave that to His Excellency Srivastava, because I am sure that he will say a few words about New India. I would like to say to Croatian business society that New India and developing India I'm witnessing from 1998. And I can clearly say that Croatian business society slightly missed the opportunity for the recent 20 years of the tremendous development of Indian business, Indian society, Indian economy, due to the fact that Croatia has a lot of companies who can offer a lot of know-how and knowledge in terms of infrastructural and other projects in India, and vice versa. Croatia in the recent time has accepted the green strategy. In the green strategy, we are developing a lot of opportunities for the partners from all around the world. India, as a part of Commonwealth, is the country and environment and economy which is welcomed in Croatia. So there are opportunities on the both sides. And what we have to overcome? We have to overcome the stereotypes of India being too big for the Croatian businesses, but business is something different today than it was yesterday. So there is a lot of opportunities for the cooperation in terms of digitalization, which is going on the vast and unbelievable scale right now in India. Witnessing to that fact are the companies Infosys and Infobip, who are already cooperating very well. And the stereotypes on the other side, that Croatia is very small and unknown economy to India. And we are witnessing the lot of effort from the both sides to make it different in the future. I hope that the difference will happen very soon. And I'm glad to see both of diplomacies in this seminar. And we are here on the disposal for the both embassies and for the both business societies, with, I have to say, great support of Indian Embassy in Croatia, to help and to assist in any kind of advice and in any kind of activity that we can do in bringing two businesses and two economies together. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Zigit, for your warm words and deep insights. They will be helpful for the participants, definitely.
Thank you very much.
Today, we are fortunate to have Mr. Rajkumar Srivastava, Ambassador of India to Republic of Croatia. He is a career diplomat and has served in Indian embassies in Spain, Myanmar, Austria, Brazil, and Japan earlier. Apart from Hindi and English, Ambassador Srivastava speaks Spanish and Portuguese fluently. He has special interest in emerging technology and digital domain. Request Ambassador to share his perspectives today with us. Kindly join me in welcoming Ambassador Srivastava.
Good afternoon to you all. Thank you very much for organizing this session. I think previous speakers have talked about certain important areas, which I also wanted to say, but I will, for the sake of saving time, I will talk about those things which are not yet talked about. So let me first of all tell that my experience in Croatia is 7 months, 6.5 months. And in this 6.5 months, I've seen, despite COVID-19 situation, a lot of opportunities, and we have started harnessing some of them. So the good news is that I will share certain things which are in the pipeline and are happening as we speak, which will strengthen some of the ideas that have been mentioned in the past. So let me begin by this size issue. The size between Croatia and India is talked a lot. And I think it is important to see the perspective. Like, I see that there are many participants from Indian side today, from Indian companies that FICCI has very professionally organized for participation today. And I would like to address next 2 minutes to them. When you look at Croatia, let's imagine that you are looking at Tamil Nadu and Kerala together. The coastline of Croatia is equivalent to the coastline of Tamil Nadu and Kerala together. But the population of Tamil Nadu and Kerala together is 25 times bigger than Croatia. The area is 3 times bigger of Tamil Nadu and Kerala as compared to Croatia. And the GDP is 7 times bigger of Tamil Nadu and Kerala. Why I'm saying it? I'm just trying to explain the difference in different characteristics. Coast, same, coastline. That tells you that Croatia has a very strong maritime economy. Area, only 1/3. That means there is vast land available, which is yet to be harnessed by the Croatian economy. That's why there is a huge potential. Population, total difference, like 25 times bigger in that same zone, which means that there is a demographic complementarity between India and Croatia. And that's where the talent comes in. India today is developing skill-based education, which means that Indian demography will be a very huge skilled workforce for the whole world, not only for India. And there, the disparity between India and Croatia in terms of the population, but the area is big, will be an important area of cooperation between the two countries. And then, so this was basically an idea to tell you that Croatia has a lot of inherent strengths because of it being a maritime economy. India has roughly 1,250 islands, and Croatia has roughly same numbers. So in terms of number of islands, you are equivalent to India. So you have to see what are the strengths, where you need to find the opportunities. So let me talk about 4 T's that I normally talk about. I think technology was mentioned by Ivica, my dear friend, and the trade part is mentioned by Manish. The trade is only $200 million. But let's think trade in a bigger way. Croatia is an EU country. It joined the EU on 1st of January 2013, but it is yet not a Eurozone economy. It will become soon. There is a calendar for that in probably next 2 to 3 years' time. And it is not yet the Schengen. That means the movement into Croatia is through a different visa system. Now, when those 2 things happen, Croatia will truly become a EU country in all sense. And that means that you have a transition period of next 3 years where you have an opportunity to get into Croatia and utilize Croatia as a gateway towards Europe. I think Ambassador Lubčić should be talking about it more, but I am trying to tell you that there is an opportunity which is yet to be harnessed, and the time is now, because this is the transition phase. So when you look last 20 years and say a lot of things have not happened, there have been a missed opportunity. I would say that real opportunity is now, because New India narrative is there and New Croatia narrative is also there. So I think this particular event that you are organizing today can become the stepping stone towards more such interactions and more meaningful interaction between one-on-one kind of interactions. So let us talk about trade. When you look at pharmaceutical sector, I was approached by one Croatian company recently that medical devices sector, which is a very important area of Indian healthcare sector today, especially in the post-COVID-19 world. I think if Indian companies are looking at Europe from medical devices point of view, Croatia can be a very important hub for that entry point. So this is one example of how the trade and supply chains should be looked at, not just in terms of consumption of Croatia, but the opportunity Croatia provides for connecting to Europe in the coming 3 years' time. When you look at talent, I think when I talked about this demographic complementarity, the Indian skilled talent is required in Croatian, especially the industries like tourism, because hospitality sector is a very important element of Croatian economy. And there is huge potential for that area to be harnessed from talent point of view. When you look at shipbuilding, there is already a lot of cooperation happening between Indian skilled manpower and shipbuilding companies of Croatia. But how you can improve this even more? So we are connecting now Croatia to NSDC, National Skill Development Corporation, which will make these movement much more streamlined and much more predictable model of movement of people. I think this will be very important aspect of our relationship and for trade and investment also. When you look at, for example, talent, you need to connect our universities and right kind of universities. We should not just match the best possible university. We should match those where there is appetite for each other. So for example, IIT Gandhinagar is now connected to FER, Faculty of Electronics and Artificial Intelligence Computing of University of Zagreb. This happened in the last 2 months' time. IIT Indore is now connected to OCEC University, which is actually a town, like I would compare it with Boston. It's a university town. Similarly, IIM Lucknow is now connected to Faculty of Economics and Business of University of Zagreb. These are the areas where we are working very, very bottom-up way to create talent movement much more smooth and about each other. Last point that I would like to mention before I stop is about tourism. And a lot of participation today in this session also from Croatian side is from tourism industry. I think post-COVID-19 situation, tourism will boom back, but it will be a different kind of tourism. We need to work together. We have we had signed an MOU between the two countries when our president visited in March 2019. And we are working very closely on the tourism products and tourism promotion ideas. I think Manish mentioned about Bollywood. That's a very interesting idea because it is not only tourism promotion, it connects people, it connects industries. It also brings new business opportunities. And we are working on that. There are, I think, some participants here. Sergey is here, I think, in one of the participants from Croatia, who is actually a film director. And I'm sure that he's listening to this idea. So there are these 4 T's: trade, technology, talent, and tourism. I would summarize it that way, that's where our relationship will grow in coming times. Thank you very much.
Ambassador, we're especially thankful for your insightful thoughts and ideas. That will no doubt further deepen our trade and economic relation between India and Croatia. I now take pleasure in introducing an extraordinary diplomat, His Excellency Mr. Petar Lovocic, Ambassador of Croatia to India, who has been always instrumental in making the India-Croatia relations a success. He has held several key positions in various capacities of the Ministry of Foreign and European Affairs, Republic of Croatia. Prior to this appointment, he served as the ambassador of Republic of Croatia in Tripoli and Libya. I welcome Excellency Lovicic to share his perspective on India-Croatia trade investment relations.
Thank you very much, Devasmita. It's my pleasure today to be the part and the panelist of this business forum. Thanks also, and I am pleased to greet Mr. Singhal to be with us, Mrs. Obradovic, and His Excellency Raj Srivastava to organize this forum. At the very beginning, and usually when I have a message in India, I like to mention our friendly and good relations, good ties between Croatia and India back many decades, even centuries. So in that way, I like to mention that the first actually grammar of Sanskrit, the author was Croatian Indologist and linguist Philip Vezdin in 18th century. Also, for our good relations, I think it's very important to mention that more than 60 years ago, we got a Department of Indology at the University of Zagreb, also 22 years, I think so. We have, and we can learn Croatian language at Delhi University. It needs to be stressed, I think, that our bilateral visits on the highest level are becoming more frequent, and that's what we need, I think, in the future in this post-COVID time. For our participants and who will follow this business forum, I would like to mention that during this last, as Manish mentioned, almost 30 years of our diplomatic relations, we have signed more than 20 agreements, protocols, and exchanged views of experts in many fields. What is for us both important, I think, for both countries is negotiations and summits of the European Union and India, which will be also in May this year, as every year, discussed to be about trade and investment agreement between the European Union and India. Croatia supports always the importance of global cooperation, coordination, solidarity to overcome this pandemic COVID-19 and its impacts. Croatia is also committed to ensure equitable and early access to safe, effective and affordable COVID-19 vaccines, treatments and tests. We also encourage policies which strengthen connectivity, which is very important. I think we have experienced last year many different ways of our communication and connectivity through the online or webinars are always something new for all of us, and maybe easier than before. As a leading member of many international organizations, special BRICS, and other associations and initiatives, India plays a very important role in the fight against terrorism, violent extremism, radicalization, and India's role is very important in relation to security aspects, maritime affairs and Indian Ocean, especially with regard to the safety of navigation. I think all my colleague Srivastava and previous speakers, they have mentioned many details about our trade relations, our business relations. Needless to say, I am not able now to prepare something more, but what can I say is that our embassy is always very much open and will be on disposal to everybody who is ready to come to ask any question, to maybe even asking for some connection, for provide maybe visas or other things what they need. I have in my mind also how much is important future negotiations about human resources, and we shall do some efforts in that way. So once again, thank you very much for inviting me, and I wish you good success to this forum and to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Excellency, for sharing your experiences. Your thoughts, Excellency, will become the anchor of synergy between two nations and build new pillars in our partnership, marked by deeper engagement in the key sectors of corporations. Now, I take this opportunity to welcome Mr. Rohit Sharma, Director and Head of Europe and CIS in FICCI, to share his insights on the state of Indian economy. He has over 24 years of diverse corporate experience and has worked for some of the leading companies in India. He has worked to evolve institutional platforms like India Europe 29 Business Forum, India Spain CEOs Forum, and various other CEO roundtable conferences with key European countries as a regular effort to promote deeper ties between the regions. Please welcome Mr. Sharma.
Smita, thank you so much, Your Excellencies, Ambassador Srivastava, Ambassador Ljubicic. What you just mentioned about the linguistic affinity that India enjoys. Your first name itself is Pitra, we call it in India. So it is like Pitar in Croatian, the first name that you already have. So I'll just divide my my narration. What exactly I just want to share with all the distinguished panelists. Like there are two aspects to it. One is the technology that Croatia boasts of. The very fact that Nikola Tesla was there with so very many patents, one of the largest repositories of patents having, to his credit. The very fact that we really wanted to tap into the technical excellence of Croatia and Central European economies, we created this India Central Europe Business Forum way back in 2014. So, over the years, we kept on evolving and kept on just, inviting number of Croatian companies, because there are a lot of opportunities which exist in India. It is not the sheer size, it is the sheer focus that we are just, trying to just steer all our, the business investment competencies into that specific domain. So what we have actually seen in the last few years is that a lot of those competition happening within the Central European economies. You talked about the sheer size of the land available in Croatia. Namdhari seeds have bought quite a bit of land in Bulgaria. So what they do is like, the Namdhari, since it's part of the EU, they are able to cultivate a lot of those products which are have a ready market for Indians in entire mainland Europe. So that really makes a task quite easy. So this is how Indian companies just broad basing their business profile within that specific region. They are tapping into the technologies which are available. At the same time, they're just trying to understand what extra they can go and what extra they can just reach out to, aspire for, and eventually take that specific the profits and margins that they're looking at. And this region actually given this very high human resources available in the region, the technologies, the IT prowess of the entire region. So a lot of those Indian companies, especially if you talk about the IT sector, a lot of those things, like TCS is one of the biggest backend office, the centers in Budapest in Hungary. So almost 5,000 people from 50 nationalities are working there. So this is what we can actually look at, and this is how we can actually just work it out. And what we just created way back in 2014 is something, a very credible platform that we really would like your support and increased participation from Croatia in the years to come. So, but that's a platform which was created in collaboration with Ministry of External Affairs, Government of India. But we are quite optimistic that such initiatives like today is very important for us to understand what Croatia is doing and how Indian companies, because we are very enthused by the sheer number of companies who are just plugged in today. They are not here just to hear us out. but they just, they're just sensing the possibilities they can actually capitalize on. What Croatian companies they can offer to us in terms of the technologies, what are the business, the trade in terms of the business trade queries which can emerge from Croatia, how they can benefit from that, and how Indian companies can benefit from what Croatian companies are offering. So that's a very heady mix of possibilities, opportunities, and investments. Yes, investments will happen once Indian companies, they are fully, they're cognizant of the possibilities and how they can actually cultivate Croatia as a very, very solid base for them to just go beyond into mainland Europe. And given the fact that Eurozone, all this, those possibilities are going to materialize in next 3 years' time, that really, is going to be a big dangler for Indian companies to start afresh, looking at Croatia as the destination for them to do business and investments there. So these are some of the thoughts that I just thought of just sharing with you. When it comes to Indian economy, I'll just quickly just update you that the ongoing pandemic has been almost 1 year that we have been waiting that the things will be better off, but the situation hopefully will improve now in next 2 to 3 weeks time. But with the 6 phases of unlocking behind us, almost all economic activity in India has been fully permitted, and the incoming data on some of the lead indicators that does point towards things moving towards normalization at the ground level. The worrying part is, like, we have almost 152,000 daily caseloads of infections that is stretching our healthcare system to as it seems. But the silver lining is that India is rapidly vaccinating its population, and over 80 million population 45 years and above have been vaccinated till date. So that is a big thing when we talk about almost 1.35 billion population. At the same time, it's the reach and the broad basing of the vaccination exercise, which is possibly the largest in the world, it is, is being unveiled right now. And we will start seeing the shoots of, there's a positives that we are expecting from this drive, which is already underway. So when we talk about India's economic recovery, we already can see nascent upswing happening currently. The economy has come out of the clutches of economic slowdown and has increased by, though 0.04% in the last quarter of 2021 fiscal. But RBI, our national bank, estimates that the Indian economy will grow by approximately 10.5% in 21-22. So even if it's an average, we are looking at a very sound economic growth, and our economic partners, the potential economic partners of India, they can play a very critical and crucial role. Of late, what we are actually seeing is that a lot of those trade requests and queries which are emerging from Europe, they really want to do business with India for obvious reasons. But given the fact that even if the prices being offered by Indian companies is a bit higher, the Europeans are not shying away from getting those products, those services from India currently. So likewise, the same thing goes for Indian companies looking for medical equipment devices, the technologies. We come across those very grassroots level technologies, very affordable, but at the same time cutting edge, and one-fifth the cost of that technology what we will expect from the Western European economy. So Croatia fits the bill, and we can actually start pushing for that in terms of creating those economic and business linkages between the two industries. So when it comes to GST collection, it has been steadily increasing in the past quarter. Two-wheelers and tractors, one of the barometers for economic growth in India. It has increased almost 11.5 and 31% respectively in Feb 2021. Steel consumption, again, one of the the key ingredient for the manufacturing, increased by 6.7%. The cargo traffic, when we talk about trade, it has increased. At major ports, it has increased by 4.1% in the same month. After seeing a slump of almost 57% when the complete lockdown, one of the most stringent lockdowns which world saw, it took place in India last April. Industrial production has come back to the same levels before the outbreak of the pandemic. So we are quite expectant. The unemployment rate has drastically reduced. There is a gradual strengthening of the situation for us in terms of what India is manufacturing and the kind of partners we are looking at. We are redefining, realigning our focus and intent in terms of what exactly we expect from our key economic partners. So moreover, India's economic strength and the resilience, as we mentioned, remains intact. And we do look forward that these kind of discussion and discourse that we have today, they are very important for us and especially the industry to somehow reach out to each other. And we, being the catalyst, being the largest industry association in India, will be very happy to promote that kind of engagement between the two sides. So from a medium to long-term perspective, the current crisis provides a golden opportunity for us to reinvent and re-strategize. And we are there to support such efforts. As has been mentioned by Ambassador Srivastava, the sectors like pharmaceutical, tourism, and health are the low-hanging fruits for both our countries. We have already made considerable progress in these and are set to take the next step forward. So coming to our India-Croatia specifically, we already talked about. To actively promote and eventually enhance bilateral trade, we would specifically like to know that the Indian states are emerging as the next frontiers for doing business with. Chennai, Hyderabad, Pune, Gurgaon, and many more cities in Gujarat, Karnataka, Uttar Pradesh, Maharashtra, Andhra Pradesh, northeastern states. It's a major focus by Government of India currently, and Uttarakhand are vying with each other to invite foreign businesses, investments, technical partners. So we really want to see something happening from Croatia, though we understand the opportunity cost for a lot of Croatian companies is very high, since most of them are small and medium sized. But given the fact that we are ideally positioned all over the country and outside, we'll be very happy to just find out those right partners for Croatian companies within India. And we remain at your disposal for any specific inputs that you would expect from us. So they containing themselves the urge and the energy for accelerating India's large trade and economic relations with the global trading and business partners. And as been mentioned, the size does not matter. The technology will drive the future course of our relations. And this is where Croatia is ideally positioned because of its technical prowess, its highly skilled manpower. And this is what Indian companies are currently looking at. So India-Croatia cooperation in green and clean technologies, energy efficiency and capacity building, as has been mentioned by ambassadors, are some of the key areas for us to collaborate. FDI cap in defense sector has been raised by Indian government. Coupled with this, major emphasis on Make in India for Indian and global markets could be a beacon of new resurgence for Croatian companies to eye India afresh. Indian IT companies, like what is happening in the neighboring countries, see opportunity for talent and captive in countries like Croatia. And this is what we really need to push through so that a greater number of Indian IT majors, they see Croatia as a delivery location to cater to the rest of Europe and other global economies. So Indian businesses have realized that an economy like Croatia has a strong engineering talent base, so the Indian IT majors would be keenly eyeing the market. And this is where we expect that anything specific from our side, we remain at your disposal. So the biggest takeaway for all us would be towards jointly developing technologies across sectors at affordable cost. The presence of highly skilled workforce of Croatia and well-established R&D infrastructure in the country would be one of the key building blocks for us to create a very bright and a very vibrant economic future for our industries. With these words, thank you so much for joining us today, Your Excellencies, and the venerable speakers. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Sharma, for your thoughts and perspectives during these difficult times. This will definitely help all. If participants would like to ask a question, please use the written chat feature mentioning your email ID and name. We shall address them certainly. Now, to share the presentation on Croatia investment and business cooperation opportunities, I welcome Ms. Jelena Dumicic, Independent Advisor, International Affairs Sector, Croatian Chamber of Commerce, and Ms. Andrea Gubisic, Senior Expert Associate, International Affairs Sectors, Croatian Chamber of Commerce.
Thank you. I would kindly ask you if you can allow me to share my presentation. Did you hear me?
Yes, certainly. IT team, if you can facilitate what Jelena is requesting.
Andrea for a moment.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Andrea.
Hi, hello
Thank you.
everyone. Good afternoon. It's just that Andrea will present first. I will follow, and if just I see that Anita actually has the presenter opportunity now. So if she can just move the icon to Andrea, I think it should be possible for Andrea to share. Then I don't think that the IT sector needs to intervene. Just Anita needs to drag the little sign towards Andrea's name, and then it should be fine.
Sure, just give me one moment. I'll just give her the access. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. First of all, good afternoon to all speakers, panelists, and all participants. A special greeting to the companies that are participating in this virtual forum. In my presentation, I will try to introduce you to our economy and investment climate in Croatia. So it's additionally focused to Indian participants. I'm sure that our Indian colleagues are very well introduced to the geographic location of the Republic of Croatia, but I would like to stress out several facts. Croatia is the only country that is Central European, Danubian, Pannonian, and Mediterranean at the same time. And with its unique geographical location, it links Europe to the world. Situated at the heart of Europe, it takes only 2 or 3 hours flight time to any bigger European city. As such, it gives you an easier access to EU and European market in general, meaning to a market of almost 500 million people. As you can see in this graph, before the COVID crisis, Croatian economy had a stable and positive trend of GDP growth. But last year, due to the COVID-19 crisis, our GDP shrank by 8.4%. Estimations for our GDP growth for 2021 by different sources are between 5 and 6%. When we look at our foreign trade, last year it amounted to 37.7 billion euros. And as you can see in this slide, we have been always traditionally oriented to European and neighboring markets, what is witnessed by 88% of our foreign trade that is realized with these markets. Something more about bilateral trade between India and Croatia will give you presentation, Jelena. When we talk about FDIs, which are important for both of our economies, as we could hear from our panelists and esteemed speakers, here I would like to show you some numbers on Croatian FDIs, I mean inward FDIs. So in the period from 1993 to 2020, the total FDI in Croatia amounted to a little bit more than 33 billion euros, with companies from Austria, Netherlands, Luxembourg, Germany, Italy, and Hungary as the leading investors. The investments in that period have been made mostly in financial industry, wholesale trade, real estate, and telecommunications. Some of the biggest multinational and worldwide companies have recognized Croatia as the location for their further growth. That also includes some Indian companies already mentioned. For example, ACG Worldwide, one of the largest producers of capsules for the pharmaceutical industry in the world, started its business in Croatia by acquiring a Croatian pharmaceutical company, which was about to shut down in 2007. Some of them would say the rest is a history because the ACG continued its successful investments and doing business in Croatia since then. And they established its headquarters responsible for Europe and Russia in Zagreb in 2017. Meanwhile, they're also invested in some additional production capacities here in Croatia, and they export from Croatia to European and Russian market. Another successful Indian story in Croatia is Infosys that we already heard about. It's a global leader in next generation digital services and consulting, and they opened the office and delivery center here in Croatia, like 40 kilometers in a city 40 kilometers from Zagreb. One of the reasons why Croatia is interesting for companies from Asia is that we offer the shortest route over land and sea to Europe and other overseas countries. So, for example, from Croatia, the sea route from Europe to Middle and Far East is shorter by 7 days than using some other North Sea ports. Furthermore, the Republic of Croatia guarantees by the law the same rights for investors as it does to Croatian ones. We have agreements for the avoidance of double taxation signed with over 50 countries, including India. Croatia offers access to EU funds and additional government support measures. We have one of the lowest corporate income tax in the EU, as you can see on this slide. It's 18 and 10%. Additional benefits to investors gives the Act on Investment Promotion. According to this act, the regular corporate income tax can be reduced up to 0%. Besides the tax reliefs, this act also prescribes incentives for creating new jobs, incentives for education, specific business activities, capital expenses, labor-intensive investment projects, etc. Also, besides the national incentives, the incentives are offered on local level as well. There are more than 100 ready business zones on territory of the Republic of Croatia. In addition to strong support from local communities, there is a possibility of additional tax reliefs for zone users, such as the relief from utility tax, lower payments for municipal services, lower land price, etc. And as a starting point for doing business in Croatia, we would like to suggest our Indian participants to visit our website intended for investors. It offers all necessary information for starting a business and investing in Croatia. And also it contains a very interesting part. It's a investment projects catalog. This catalog represents an overview of specific already prepared mainly private projects from different sectors in Croatia. I've been very short due to the time limitation, but you're always, of course, welcome to contact us regarding any possibilities on investments in Croatia. Now, I would kindly ask Jelena to continue presentation with information doing business with India. Just a second.
Thank you, Andrea. I would just like to say that I'm experiencing some problems with my internet connection. So if I disappear for a second, just bear with me, because usually I'm back within a second. And Andrea,
we can hear you well.
Now, yes, but we'll see, because I lost you a couple of times as well. If you could just give me the possibility to share the presentation. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, I hope everyone can see this. I think it should be fine. So once again, good afternoon to everyone. Is it okay? Does it work?
Yeah, maybe you can make
Okay.
it full screen.
Yeah. I'm just like, now everything froze for me. Everything is black. So if you can just give me 1 second, I think it should be fine.
Yeah, it's good now.
It's good now. Okay, thank you so much for the feedback because I have 2 screens and quite challenging. Anyway, good afternoon, everyone. Following on what everyone said today and what Andrea gave as maybe a more interesting introduction for our Indian participants today, I will follow on the bilateral relations and possibilities of doing business cooperation between Indian and Croatian companies with a bit more focus maybe on how to connect some of the projects that are available and initiatives for the European companies that are funded also by the European Union. Just a short introduction for our Indian listeners. The Croatian Chamber of Economy is a professional institution that has been around for almost 170 years. And today we have 63 professional associations that work within the chamber to help promote interests of Croatian companies. We also have 20 county chambers to help companies locally and to disperse information on different areas. And we also have representative offices abroad. In Asian markets, we have 1 office currently in Shanghai, but we work very closely with our embassies around the world, also with His Excellency Mr. Ljubicic. I had the chance to work before on some projects that we had. The activities and services of the chamber cover a wide variety of services that we offer, and our sector for international relations does like educational parts in terms of webinars, seminars, business delegations. We had delegations visiting foreign countries and delegations visiting Croatia. But as you all know, with everything that happened with the global pandemic, we had to change, and we had to change fast, like everyone, I guess. When the crisis started last year, the chamber transformed what we were doing quite fast. We tried to help our companies in direct ways, in either indirect ways, and through mediation in terms of connecting and sending communication through channels. In terms of international activities, we already started the digitalization of the chamber as such even before COVID, but the pandemic kind of made it a bit more faster. So we started with the Go Global, Go Virtual project, which was our platform for online B2B meetings that allowed our companies to connect, to have, so to say, business delegations online, because this was something that always helped companies find their potential partners. In that sense, we had several meetings with different companies from different countries so far. Over 1,000 Croatian and foreign companies participated. And as it was mentioned by my previous speakers, we are still at the 3rd wave now, so we don't know how long it will take. We plan to continue with this form of activities as well. In addition to everything else, we hope will come back to normal soon. In terms of internationalization and how the chamber can help, there are certain things that are available for Croatian companies. In terms of our services, I would like to point out a couple of them. One of them is Poduzetnik Izvoznik, which is individualized support for our companies to find potential international partners. We also provide various country information. We have a tenders database. Like I mentioned, the fairs and delegations are now happening mostly online. We also have the European Enterprise Network, which is we are part of that network. It's a part of the International Europe project. I would also like to point out that we have one additional new project to our Go Global, Go Virtual platform that is Fit for Globe, which is analysis of export potential to specific markets. This is done by collecting data from various sources and using certain methods to maybe recognize the best potential for export of Croatian products. As it was mentioned before, in terms of our trade and bilateral relations, the export of Croatia to India is less than the one of India to Croatia. However, in 2019, we had like a quite significant upward trend in our exports, but then in 2020, the pandemic happened. However, the numbers of 2020 are still quite all right comparing to previous years, because it's still higher than, for example, 2017 or 18. And it was also mentioned also by His Excellency Srivastava and other speakers that tourism is one quite important and significant area for possible cooperation. I put here numbers from 2020, although everyone mentioned that this is not the right state of things. However, I just wanted to show how much it dropped, almost 96% the number of Indian tourists that arrived to Croatia. However, since 2017, we have noticed a significant increase of Indian tourists visiting Croatia and traveling. Also, it was mentioned that we are not in Schengen. However, Schengen visas, if you have a certain type, you can travel to Croatia without a problem, not having to get a separate visa for Croatia. And also traveling to India for Croatian tourists, as I know, is also quite easy, as India has the e-tourist visa possibilities. That I will, can you hear me? Can you hear me? Yeah. Well, there's some issues, but hopefully not a lot. So in terms of exports of products, I would like to point out to companies that there is European Commission has a separate database called Access to Markets, where companies can get initial information about specific products. They just need to know the market they want to export to and the tariff number of the product to get detailed information on what are the costs of what is necessary of the regulations in terms of certification and what kind of documentation needs to follow with the export. In that sense, it is quite useful to get like the first overview of what is necessary, and of course for everything else we stand here for your help. I have noticed some questions in the Q&A and the chat, so I will maybe just answer those after the end of the presentation. In terms of international cooperation, the Croatian Chamber of Economy cooperates with the chambers like FICI and everything else, but also there are numerous institutions that are funded by the EU that help European companies learn more and expand to international markets. In that sense, with India, there is the business support to the EU-India policy dialogues. You will have the link to this website in the presentation that I will share with all the participants. Allows for partnerships and collaborations in different fields and different areas. In terms of clean air, energy, climate, the EU-India ICT standardization collaboration, and many other areas. It actually allows for regulatory approaches, best practices, business solutions, research cooperation. In terms of best practices, it would be also organizing webinars and workshops and field visits in order to connect Indian and European, also in this instance, Croatian companies who are ready for cooperation and finding new ways of cooperation. I would also, for Croatian companies, I would like to stress out one tool that is available through the business support to the EU-India policy dialogues, and this is the India Readiness Kit. This is a tool that you can use just to assess how ready you are to export your products or services to Indian market. It actually takes about 30 minutes. It can be to fill it out. It has about 100 questions. You can fill it out anonymously, so you don't have to input information about detailed information if you don't want about your product, which actually also covers your intellectual property rights if you don't want to share certain amounts. And then you get, in the end, sort of a report that has specific sectors like finance. If you are ready to export or what you need to make better in your company or your product in order to be more competitive in the Indian market. So this was just a brief overview of what is available and what kind of options there are. I will share this presentation with everyone, so you will have our contacts for any additional. Just stop sharing now. However, I saw there were a couple of questions in the Q&A, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just check this. So yes, I saw in that there is about the pharmaceutical export of products to Croatia and the certification. Yeah, so this is basically what we have noticed, and maybe Mr. Ljubicic can also add something if I forgot some bits about this. But there is quite strict regulations in terms of export of specific products, either from Croatia to India or India to Croatia. And then it needs to go through proper channels in order to get all the necessary documentation that follows the exports and all the necessary certifications that are for specific products in different institutions. Sometimes it also requires bilateral agreements that are signed between our two countries. But as it was mentioned, I think in time, if the EU considers with India, they had already started discussions about the possible free trade agreements and investment possibilities and things like that. What it was shown in aspect with exports to other countries and some other free trade agreements that were signed, it actually helped companies a lot, in a sense that it was easier to get certain certifications and documents for export. With specific problem that this company has in terms of pharmaceutical and HALMED institution, I can maybe, if you can send us more detail or just to our email, the specifics of what kind of pharmaceutical product that is. We can check with our colleagues to see in HALMED what happened and why it is going so slow. I also saw in the chat some other, let me just see. I guess this would be an Indian company who wants to export to Croatia, if I understood correctly. Yeah, so we as a chamber can help with some general information on Croatian market, or perhaps with some context, but we would also ask here for the help of both the embassy and the Indian Business Council, if they could in the end also assist. And I would also urge you to perhaps send an email with the specifics so we can see how we can help in more detail. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Yelena, Andrea, for such detailed information on the subject and the answers also to the queries. With this, we come to the end of a very insightful and thought-provoking interaction. If participants post more questions, we will answer them in the email ID posted. Now, I request Mr. Sharma to deliver the closing remarks, and thank you all for joining virtually the interaction today. Over to you, Mr. Sharma.
Thank you so much, Devasmita. I think a good beginning has been made, and we were fortunate to have some very good companies from India joining in from Croatia. And the most critical component is the people-to-people connect, which somehow we have been missing out for some time. Eventually, P2P is going to translate into B2B, enhance understanding what India is offering right now, what Croatia can offer as a business, as a technical partner for Indian companies. So the sky is the limit for us. Once the Chinese leader, I would quote, unquote, Mao Zedong, he said, there is great disorder under the heavens. The situation is excellent. So I think with so very many, corona cases happening, the pandemic still hitting us so hard, there are a lot of those opportunities. Online platforms are actually turning out to be the facilitators for us to eventually just, start working together, collaborating, and eventually reaping the benefits in the times to come. So with these words, thank you so much for joining us. Special thanks to our ambassadors, Mr. Manish Singhal, and our key institutional partners from Croatia. All of them, thank you so much. It wouldn't have been possible had they been not collaborating so effectively with us. So with these words, thank you so much, and stay safe and stay connected with us. We'll ensure that the business does flow in bi-directionally in the times to come. So thank you so much. All the best to you all.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you, Raj.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Elena, we do look forward to seeing you in Delhi sooner than expected. Let's hope that things get better in coming months. The vaccination drive, has it started off in Croatia also?
Yes, it started, but it's going a bit slow. Now they're vaccinating, I think, only people above, I think, 60 years of age.
Okay.
Oh yeah, they still
right.
haven't started with the young ones, but I have a lot of friends in India, so they informed me that like already you guys are way ahead. You're
Yes.
vaccinating everyone, even the younger people.
Yes,
I
80
noticed,
million
yeah.
people have already been vaccinated in the last 3 months' time.
Yeah.
And the process is going to be accelerated because there are other vaccinations which have come in the market. So hopefully coming months, there's going to be a quantum jump in number of vaccinated people. So that is going to break the chain that we really desperately want to be broken, because that is somehow impacting what we really want to do with our economic partners like you. So looking forward to working very closely with you all. And thank you so much for today's meeting. It was long overdue, it seems, and we are quite happy that. So all the best to you. Devasmita, thank you so much. Great going. So all the best to you all. See you. Bye-bye. Have a nice afternoon.
See you. Bye.
Bye-bye. See you.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Yes.
Can I just
Yes,
ask you, I see there's one other question in the chat area. So perhaps you said you will copy paste all the questions.
Yes, I see
it-
it's from chemical.tarun@gmail.com.
Yeah, and one from another.
I'll
what is
share
it?
with you. I'll
Mr.
share with you.
Vikas, I think.
I'll
Yeah.
share with you the questions.
Yeah, if you could send me in an email, then I can
Yes.
maybe answer directly. That way it would be, I think, easier to answer in, because now I don't know who is online still.
I understand. So this will all be recorded and I'll share with you, and so we can take it forward. And let's see how the plan works for next month.
Yeah, so basically all the companies that I sent you the list, they are interested for B2B. So maybe you and I can be in touch and see how we can go from there, and to inform them how to do it online, how to register and things like that.
Certainly.
Okay.
Yelena. Good
Great.
to connect.
Thank you so much for today.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I had some
to
issues
you,
with
Andrea.
my internet. I don't know why. Everything was okay yesterday, but that's how it goes.
Yesterday, I was getting disconnected few times, so I have shifted my place today. So anyways, good.
Anyway,
thank you, Andrea.
take care.
You too.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Bye.